right, Draskell. So now that we've seen this spread, how are you feeling about it? Alliance versus Liquid?
I actually think they picked the silencer in the reverse herder. I think picking Puck in that stage would have been better. So with that said, I do think that Liquid have a slightly better draft. So I'll say Liquid.
How are you feeling here?
Yeah, I'm feeling that even though Alliance have a really good setup, but the team fight from Liquid might be too overwhelming for them in the start of the game. So yeah, I'm going for Liquid here.
It was a slow-paced start, and I did ask for patience here as we got started, but it looks like we are finally going to be treated for our opening matchup of the day. The Shanghai main event is about to get squared away, and we'll go ahead and now throw it over to our casters for our opening matchup, Alliance versus Liquid. It's going to be none other than LD and Gods. Gentlemen, please have some fun.
Welcome, everybody, to the opening match here of the Shanghai Majors. We're here, Alliance versus Team Liquid. I'm Gods, ring me as LD. We're David and David. And what a way to kick things off here, LD. We've got two teams. They met at StarLadder in the LAN Finals semifinals. Alliance took that series 2-0. This time around, Liquid looking for some vengeance, really, but boy, do Alliance look good right now.
Yeah, Alliance come in having won the last two major events they played in, actually. StarLadder as well as WCA. Some people thought WCA may be a fluke. Even after StarLadder, they had their doubters, but my goodness, they have looked very solid at this event. Pretty convincing performance in the group stage, and away we go. Team Liquid now going to move down into the river. They are smoked up, looking for that early engagement, but Alliance in pretty good high ground position. Jarek's going to lead the way. The smoke will break. S4 out in front. They'll dive forward, but he immediately blinks back. Already skilling up the dive at level 1. Liquid not able to find the kill.
Yeah. Alliance needs to scout out Roshan. There's an Ursa on the dire side, but you can realistically do that very safely and cautiously with the Spirit Bear. So good cautious play coming up from Alliance, positioning themselves on the high ground, using the Bear to scout Roshan, and no casualties lost. And something that Liquid, they kind of, I almost want to say, invented this. A 5-man level 1 smoke. They did it every time they had Tusk. Back in when Jarex used to play the Tusk, every single time they'd get their hands on it, this was like during the MDL, the Nanyang, when they were qualifying for that event and they were just steamrolling through Europe. It was always this 5-man smoke. Phoenix is still looking for a few levels here. So getting the Phoenix his levels is going to be very important this game. And it comes down to vision. If Liquid can get vision around that area, there's a couple good ward spots around those Radiant Ancients. The Radiant Ancients a lot easier to contest than the Dire Ancients right now. And that's something where I think we're actually seeing more Dire Sven than Radiant Sven because of that fact.
Not sure what the status is for the teams, but they want to make sure everything is good to go. We just know there are sounds. Stadium's starting to fill up, actually. It was pretty empty when we got here very early in the wee hours of the morning, but I have seen the crowd filing in. It's quite a process to get in here to Mercedes-Benz Arena, but it's big, man. I think those screens might actually be a little bit bigger than the ones they had at Key Arena. So.
Yeah, I was told, bragged to by some locals, that these are the biggest screens at a Dota event you've seen. So it's impressive, the viewing experience. Putting them up apparently was a procedure in itself because they're not projectors, they're actual LEDs. So
they're apparently they are the heaviest thing that they have ever attached to the ceiling of this arena. So
it sounded like just a workplace hazard putting them up. So
one time I worked
this effigy.
They've never won a TI quali, have they?
Exactly. They can't talk, I guess.
They really can't. That's just depressing.
Bulbasaur's confused.
EGM, we need to give him some vitamin D. It sounds like he's a little deficient right now, feeling a bit blue under the weather. It is the winter major.
Yep.
He's from the Northlands, and maybe a little seasonal affective disorder. But we don't have to worry about that for now. We've got Dota to keep you all happy, and hopefully him as well. Unpaused, and into the game we'll go. Bulldog, the man to do it. So he'll be heading here to the offlane as the lone druid.
I hope Draskell's watching some Dota cheer him up. He quoted himself as being a black hole of sadness earlier today.
It was a very bold claim. It's like if you're playing Mafia and you just claim Mafia at the start of the games. I am the saddest person in the world. Once the sadness crosses the event horizon, there's no turning back. But Liquid get aggressive here. They have the dive already on Jerax. Kroki's going to go for the trap out. Does catch Bulldog. He needs to head to the south with the swoop forward. Some damage over time, burning him down. It looks like a first blood onto Bulldog. They saw all of Liquid at the southern rune. They were not expecting an aggressive move here to the north, but it works. And Team Liquid now on top, leading 1-0. And Bulldog's Bear not available to be resummoned, I believe, for well, 10 seconds now. So he'll have one more bear, but if they kill it, he's going to be a sad, sad man.
Well, really important because you need that bear at level 1 more than anything because that's when you pull the creep wave to your tower to guarantee your level 2. So your level 2 is so important on this here because that's when you get your Savage Roar, which makes
And they're
your
going to
laning a
delay
lot
it.
easier.
They're moving in again. Bulldog might be giving up another kill if they can just get the shards trapped. It's perfect from Kuro. He'll head around to the right side, but the damage
missed.
sinks in. Not enough to kill him fully, but very heavy harassment. And keeping our eyes here on the bottom lane as well. Ardia South popped N2 tangos for the Tidehunter. He is chewing through his regen at a equally alarming rate. GM doing a good job of harassing him back.
Yeah, the Ursa Phoenix actually didn't hit the bear with either the dive or the Earthshock, so I think the Phoenix cancelled the dive. Just like, oh, Earthshock mid, we're going to back off anyways, but they're doing a great job zoning
Bulldog's
out.
already at the big cap.
Yeah.
He's retreated to the safety of the jungle.
Yeah, he dewarded.
It's
So
gonna be quite
the
insane.
early sentry ward right by where like the little shopkeeper was to block this camp. A nice little spot, but Bulldog recognizing how important it's going to be is back in there.
So S4 up on the southern rim there of the ramp is going to get banished. We'll see Kurogi trying to contest this one. Drops the sentry, does get the
Yeah.
counter deward. And Alliance, even if they want to deward it, might be missing another spawn here.
And Liquid have a plan. This is reminiscent of what like Alliance did to EG in that Starlighter Finals, where they just come in, kill Universe when he's juggling that big camp with Darkseer, and it's so nice when you can come into a series and have a set game plan, not just to counter a hero, but to counter the hero's playstyle. So you see that this hero, his playstyle for the first 5 minutes of the game is to use this camp, take advantage of it. Let's punish that. Let's get wards down. Let's get the first blood, and it's a great way to kind of come into a series.
S4 going to hang back, so actually doing very well here in the mid lane. OD normally known for his lane dominance, but he sits comfortably at 10-3. Is this what you normally expect to see given the matchup, or is this just S4 playing exceptionally well?
I think early levels it's okay for the Queen of Pain. The level 1 Arcane Orb, you can't really spam it out until you kind of get levels on OD. He doesn't actually do too well at level 1, level 2, so if anything, knowing that's S4, I'm not too surprised by where things stand right now.
So expect the lane maybe to get a bit harder for him.
Yeah.
If there's no help from Enchantress as things move along. Speaking of which, looks like Ake currently just comfortably farming the jungle here. Does hit level 2.5. But a lot of aggressive wards trying to block camps, keep tabs on the Enchantress. And so far, it feels like Liquid have done a pretty good job of keeping the dreaded Ake Enchantress in check.
Yep. And EG on the bottom just getting what he can, trying to zone out the Tidehunter. And Tide has still managed to get 8 CS. He's using that big camp simultaneously, although this one is going to be contested by the Enchantress swooping on in, but a bit too late for Ake.
Dire's middle
He's
tower
getting a little
is
more
under
bold,
attack.
confident Bambi strolling up the ramp. And Bulldog, with that camp awarded, he just rotates deeper into the jungle. But this frees up Liquid in the top lane if they want to do some pulls of their own, maybe apply some pressure. You see the supports trying to maximize their level progression. They'll split the camps, and Matumba Man will take the lane uncontested. He's your leader in terms of CS, very slightly ahead of that safe lane Sven, but so far, overall, things looking fairly even in the side lanes. It's the mid lane where S4 just exploded the last couple of creep waves, and that comes back to the Enchantress factor, forcing the OD back, and then S4 taking advantage.
Yeah, and it gets very difficult for Liquid to kind of try and rectify that because they've got Tusk who can't easily gank a Queen of Pain. Fata does do a nice job getting the Astral off to secure himself the top room, but for now Liquid's like, well, if we try getting mid lane, likely Queen of Pain just blinks away, we don't get the kill, because a Tusk plus OD doesn't have the kill potential you need on a Queen of Pain, so they're better off getting their levels, pressuring the top tower, forcing Alliance to make moves to respond to that top lane.
And they are doing that. They're making a move of their own here bottom. They don't manage to catch out the Tidehunter though, so he will leave some experience here. Mind Control looked a little nervous at his first big live event appearance on a stage when he went to the Starladder event earlier this year, but he has settled down a bit since then. He's been playing a little more solidly, and here he will dodge the gank, so nicely done by him. Alliance, meanwhile, planting the high ground ward, so they'll have some good vision of that Tide should he choose to come near the lane. You can see also in the Radiant off lane, the wraparound on Bulldog, always a threat. He is just hugging the tower. Looks like he's dragging the waves back to it, but while that's happening, Loda will grab the first tier 1 here of the game. So Alliance getting on the board there first to somewhat counter the first blood. Sunray doing lots of work here to the bear. Will be forced to commit the roar, try to back away.
You've got 3 range creeps in there. That's a pretty big creep wave to pull to himself a Bulldog.
And he's eking out every
times,
little bit he
desperate
can.
measures. Well, unfortunately, he doesn't get it the full. He gets kind of panics as Bear's going to die, so he uses the return. And
That's okay. He drags them back again. Nicely done. And the two range creeps coming for the flank. So Liquid getting some extra reinforcements here in the top lane.
And more than actually bringing himself down, that was actually trying to delay the tower push.
Looks like it might go down anyway until S4 arrives. He blinks forward. He didn't quite have the mana for the follow-up. Could pop the stick to get off the Queen of Pain ult, but it wouldn't quite be a kill just yet. He's hanging on to a Binding time. Now he lets it fly. Blows up KuroKy. JerAx next on the list. The Phoenix down to Matumba Man. Scurries back. The bear lives, but that is all. Very good patience there from S4. And as that happens, Ake taking over the middle lane. So nice efficient play here. We'll see. The Queen of Pain just blinking back. Angry, hasted OD, hunting forward, but Ake's full HP. Maybe he gets a creep out of it, but that is not going to be enough to justify it.
It's such a classic alliance. I feel like I've seen that S4 TP from Quap countless times before, and he just does it so well. It was a tiny bit short for the Sonic Wave initially, but he didn't want right away, which I feel was actually intentional to bait Liquid in a little bit because they fully committed to that tower with how low it was, and just great team play. First they delay the tower being pushed out, then they give time for the Queen of Pain to get ready, prepare, set up for the rotation in, and it just works out so well for them. Suddenly like Bulldog's not looking like he's had a rough start.
Well, Alliance, I'm not sure they knew what KuroKy got, but they definitely knew he got the bottom rune and it wasn't a bounty. So S4 is back to the base. Bulldog here, looking to do a little Ancient farm. We're not seeing any stacking as of yet, at least not at the Ancients for the Sven. Bulldog is going to occupy quite a bit of the space here on the map.
Yeah, one of the problems, I guess, with the Sven plus Lone Druid is you're not going to be able to... Well, typically Lone Druid in that offlane will want to use the Ancients as well as the big camp, so it does kind of limit Sven's farming possibilities. You can look to maybe stack more your regular jungle, not just the Ancients as a result.
Do you see Liquid on a slightly different note, being able to sneak a Roshan here at some point? They lost their tier 1 bottom. They have a little bit less map control in that area. There is an early Mask of Death here.
They've got really two options. I mean, sneaking one is probably an option, but I think they're better off. They can force a Roshan fight when they've got Ravage as well as Supernova because of how strong and potent that fight is.
So get the 2 level 6s and then force the Rosh engagement.
There is a global silence, so they've got to really play and maneuver around that very well. The other option is they win a fight, pushing a tower, using the ultimates, then they can fall back and take Roshan because of how fast and efficiently a hero like Ursa can take Rosh.
KuroKy has a pretty aggressive ward here, helping him to feel more confident moving out into the lane, and at the same time Bulldog leeching his experience, trying to get his levels. Ake's there as a bastion of reinforcement should they try to move forward. And so far Alliance doing a nice job at protecting both their cores, farming, actually all 3 farming quite well, and Tidehunter slipping behind a bit. I'm curious if he has any stacks to help him catch up or if he's just going to be very poor. It doesn't appear to be the case.
Looks like
it's going to be a tough time.
Want to use a Ravage here. They TP in the Ursa as Tide's about to hit level 6.
But there's an Alliance ward, so
exactly.
Everything is
Alliance
known.
are ready.
It is known for Alliance, and it is not a good feeling for Liquid. S4, now a bounty rune. Has the maxed out Scream of Pain now. So he becomes a real threat. And you look at this game from the Queen of Pain perspective, they're light on control for a blinking hero, gods. They have a Walrus Punch, a Snowball, Banish, and Ravage. But that's none of those reliable or spammable control for a blinker.
Yeah. Until like an Ursa Blink Dagger, it's going to probably allow them to try and go on the Queen of Pain because they can just, if she ever gets caught in a Ravage, the Ursa blinks in, instantly bursts down the clock, but that's only going to be, he only just picked up the Master Madness.
Late game you get the Hex on the OD, you get the Basher, but that is a long way off. Loda going to make his move here on mind control. Looks like he wanted to evacuate the lane, changes his mind, goes in for the stun.
I think he misclicked there.
We'll back away. JerAx is desperately trying to get that level 6 here in the top lane. He's got a Sunray, but he gets roared and will prevent him from retreating. Then the Ake stun comes out from the Centaur, and JerAx likely to go down here. Just 1 or 2 more attacks, popping the Fairy Fire, juking through the trees, turns with the Spirit, the double damage OD looking to counterplay this. Still somehow that Phoenix surviving in the trees. Bulldogs moved out of range. It's up to the Enchantress Creeps to finish the job. Finally get the Phoenix kill at the same moment. Elsewhere, mind control is going to die down in the river. Looks like they're trying to force the Roshan fight, but Matumba Man getting forced back. S4 lunging in. Good timing there by Matumba Man on the ultimate, dodging most of the Queen of Pain damage, but still he's low. And still S4 chases forward. When's that blink going to cool down? 4 seconds. Juking into the trees. Matumba Man getting fancy here, but they drop the Curse of the Silent, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it out. S4 pops the Scream, gets the kill, and Alliance walk away. 2 cores the richer. They also delay the Phoenix level 6. Close engagements, but all of them overall just coming out on top there for the Alliance.
Whew. That was a very ballsy move from Liquid. They were going for Roshan there with the Ursa as kind of Alliance pressure the top lane. I think they realized Loda was kind of not ready to fight either. He'd just gone on the Tide at bottom, but S4 again, like he just reads the game so well. sees what's going to just happening around the map. He knows that when that tier 1 tower push top's going to be coming, ready for the counter gate there. He's ready for the Roshan play, counter plays it, and he's just been, so far S4 has just been exactly on point with where he's been on the map.
Yeah, you look at Liquid, they see those heroes top, they're like, okay, great, now we can go Roche, but Alliance, they were ready for that reaction too. They're just one step ahead here in an elaborate game of chess. Tombaman, though, down on the river, is Cardi going to come in, try to see what's going on in the pit. But it is Roshan time. They still have Ravage. No Phoenix Egg.
This is the let's just brute force it. They can bring it down incredibly fast.
They know the Quap ult's on cooldown.
Yeah, I think they even know Queen of Pain was back at Fountain healing, so Queen of Pain is so far away on the map, this is what looks to be a free Roche for Liquid. But that's what you expect on the Alliance side. This is not like, oh, they got Roshan, we should have been able to stop that. It's like, well, this was inevitable.
Global Silence is online here, so Alliance feeling more confident to move forward. You see the shards coming through. There's the Phoenix Egg. Ake being forced back. They drop the OD ult. It's going to get them one kill. EGM burning down in the flames. He too will fall. That's both supports out of the picture. And Liquid still hanging on to their Ravage as they march forward down the middle lane. Quap ult 20 seconds away. Sven still farming up bottom. Lone Druid top, so they don't lose any cores. But they do likely lose the tower here. And it doesn't appear that there's going to be any objective trade. At least not yet. As for Hunty the Courier in the mid lane, looks like he tried to blink forward and snipe it. Couldn't quite latch on. But a good effort there. Trying to eke out every little bit they can when they can't take the head-on engagement.
And for Liquid, even with a Supernova down, I still feel they're very
Oh, they want to go now.
to fight.
They've got the Quap ult. They've got the Global. But they manage to banish us for off the bat. Loda arrives, unloads the Blink Dagger. He's gone for it nice and early here. And with the God Strength, he's got the damage to kill off Kuroki. Turning back on the Tombaman. With the Aegis, the man out in front, they're going to kill off the Bear. Loda backing off a bit. Now the Quap ult still being held in reserve. They want to hit multiple targets with this one. As for biding his time, waiting for that opportunity. But it seems like the banish was enough to dissuade aggression. So even Bulldog looking to get involved here in the early skirmish. But what are your thoughts here, gods? We see a very fast blink on the Sven more often. We see the SMY build-up, the Dominator often the first grab. But he opted only to get the Morbid Mask and then straight into a blink.
I was just going to talk about he even maxed the stun as well. We can see this is the first Sven to actually do the 4 points in stun build. And it's, I think because it's Alliance. You've got Bulldog in the offlane who takes out there. And he realizes that Bulldog's had a bad start. S4's playing Quap. There's not a huge amount of farm to go around the map. I'm not going to have my Ancient stacks. If anything, we want to fight now. Like, Liquid's going to commit us when they've got these ultimates. We want to be able to get the most out of our Global Silence. So getting 4 points in the stun just gives Alliance that little bit of extra firepower.
That Imp's going to leave a mark. So it does get out of vision. So Loda can't follow it up with the stun. Ake did go for his phase boots there on the Enchantress, so it looks like he wants to be a big damage dealer here. Potentially a quad core for Alliance if he can find his farm later on, though he's looking a bit impoverished now for the jungler.
And for Liquid, they've now got the double big ultis back up. The Phoenix as well as the Titan. You want to throw probably the ultimate in there as another key ultimate for them to have. They'll be looking for another engagement, I imagine. Kind of pushing around a tower, looking to try and take smokes and objectives. This bottom tier 1 tower is kind of a key objective because it just opens up that Radiant jungle. You get full access, full control, and then you can look to kind of starve out Alliance, who are going to be kind of reliant on some of that farm when they're playing catch-up on heroes. Well, I want to say they're playing catch-up on Lone Druid, but he's the top farm Alliance hero despite the start he had.
And you look at Alliance's draft, they've got more like damage dealers, I guess you could say. The Lone Druid, the Queen of Pain, even Enchantress, Sven, obviously a heavy hitter. All heroes that can scale really well into late game. And of course, once Bulldog gets the Radiance, things generally get out of hand for the opponents unless they have a lot to work with. So do you feel like they're getting enough right now? Well, hold that thought, because Mind Control, he does get caught out here in the top lane, but he's a tanky one. They force out some rotations. Mass TP's coming in, but not going to be able to follow this up in time. Tusk marches forward, but they will back off. So, oh, Kuroki in pretty deep. They just turn on him. They'll quickly mow him down. That was a freebie. Didn't expect them to stick around, and if they did, they thought Mind Control could get involved, but Mind Control, he's going for the mech. Doesn't have the Blink Dagger, so he doesn't have the initiation range to help out there. It's the Bear, looks for an entangle on Mind Control. Elsewhere, Global Silence gets committed. Good micro here from Aki. They lock Fada down. Looks like they might finish him off. The mech comes in. Perfect range there from Mind Control, but it's not in time to allow the OD to drop the hammer. He still ends up falling. Matumbaman looks to turn this one around. They are going to finish off EGM. Likely no. Matumbaman getting Savage Road away. He's not dead yet. They got to burn him down. Phoenix coming back after the egg. Will finish him with the Ray, and they might get the Bear too. The Bear drops. That's another 300 gold, but it's not a hero kill. And while this is all happening, you can see still Alliance pushing out that bottom lane. S4 closing in on the Orchid. Only now does Ursa get his blink.
They take that fight without S4. That's the most impressive and scary thing about that for Liquid. They're just looking bottom like, oh, that was kind of a 5v4. We used Ravage, we used Supernova, and we lost that fight. That's about as bad as it gets. And everyone, as far as the Alliance cores, they're getting their farm, they're getting their core items.
S4, he just hit level 11, and you could tell he was trying to do the math. Human calculator here, but I think the mech was about to cool down a fan already, and would have been a risky play.
I think that's one of the hard things about Liquid's lineup, is one of the things the analysts talk about, going to the last pick and kind of theory crafting, whether it be something like a Brewmaster, the Queen of Pain, mentioning that Liquid didn't have a lot of actual like reliable control and stuns. Is that when you have a fight like a spell like Supernova, the Phoenix egg, you want to be able to force the fight around it, but the problem is they engage, unless it's like a perfect Ravage, what happens is Alliance just kite around the egg, they back off away from the egg, then they take the little pickoffs, then they take the fight away from the Supernova, and you're not getting your maximum value out of that.
They really need that Blake Matumba man here. Will get caught out in the mid lane. Has the Aegis, but I believe is wearing off here fairly soon. He scurries back towards the river, fought up on the high ground. Also has his ultimate available, Kurogi in position, and they're going to go onto EGM, quickly trying to finish off the Silencer, who doesn't have a global to work with. EGM down. Not the most important hero, especially lacking his ultimate, but Liquid happy with that kill. Let's see what more they can get.
This game's really developing interesting because Alliance are getting everything they want. This is like your classic Alliance draft in a lot of ways. They've got the Bulldog Lone Druid, he's getting farmed, but this is going to be a true test of whether or not, like, how good a counter the Phoenix is to the Spirit Bear. We've seen a couple times that Spirit Bear will be brought down very easily using the Sunray, and it almost feels like they may even have to prioritize the global silence around the Sunray just because of how much damage it does, and it allows you to kind of engage in and try and kill that Phoenix.
Tumbo man now. No more Aegis to work with, but it's not going to stop his aggressive positioning here. Is the ultimate ready? Bit light on the mana. And he's hunting.
That Mask of Madness does not look very ferocious in the inventory.
It looks like a slightly cuter Magneto version, perhaps. More decorative than anything else. Nice Savage Roar here to prevent anything nasty from Matumba man. No bear-on-bear violence today. Keep things clean. But so far, haven't seen the explosion from Liquid. They have pretty much everything that you mentioned. The big ultimates, they got their first Roshan. Matumba man has his Blink Mask of Madness. Generally, with the Aegis is when we see an Ursa look for those aggressive dives, try to rack up kills and snowball. It feels like the pace is a little bit more Alliance's pace. Slower, they're getting the Lone Druid's farm, he's not dying. Radiance is coming. Are you worried if you're Liquid about that, or are you content?
I think you're a little worried, and I think a big reason why Alliance can kind of control the pace pretty well is because the Liquid don't actually have good tower siege. They can't break buildings very quickly, so it's not like Alliance have given a lot of time to respond to any Liquid pressure on towers. So what Liquid have to kind of do is look for pickoffs, smoke plays. This is what they do here. Jerax missteps and accidentally pops his smoke on the tower and reveals
they
himself.
probably had Bulldog if it wasn't for that. Instead he sees them coming, walks away, and that could have delayed the Radiance timing. Big whiffed opportunity there from Liquid, and it really was a matter of inches there.
And now Liquid find themselves in a tower, but again, as kind of just pointed out, like Alliance can respond to this, get ready to defend it, they can counter push. This push happens at such a slow pace that Alliance are always given plenty of time to react to Liquid, unless they're missing off the map, smoked up, doing something kind of less predictable.
Well, this is where Alliance is comfortable. When they can't take fights, they are very good, possibly the best team in the world at eking out farm elsewhere on the map and minimizing casualties. You can see Loda blinking through the trees now, trying to farm here deep in the bottom lane. Earlier it was the Queen of Pain, now she's top, and as soon as Bulldog gets scouted out, those two immediately get more aggressive. But Loda has a kill opportunity here. They also have a global silence ready, so they can prevent Jerax from doing anything, but not even necessary. Just one blink, one stun, one swing of that ugly sword, and they get the kill.
Global down, so Liquid probably want to take advantage of that, be it the next... They're probably hoping for a very short Roche respawn if they can get in there.
I guess if the Phoenix is really quick on the egg there, maybe you don't get the kill. So
and Sven
probably worth it to secure it.
Not the best attack, but getting off 5 swipes. I think it's possible with Treads. I'm not actually sure on the math.
It would be very close.
Yeah, it'd be borderline.
So we'll see Fana going for the early Rod of Atos here. It seems to be the build a lot of the Western players do favor. Super was the player from Vici, loved the BKB rush, but Sumail Arteezy, generally it is the Atos first. So just tanking up, getting an item that allows them to maybe kite that Sven a bit better, as well as the bear potentially. Here Liquid go. Smoked up in the river. Wrapping around, they are going to find Loda. He's a pretty tanky hero, and they don't have any global to help him disengage. Boy, they could sure use it now. Sigil flying over, Ursa popping the ultimate, committing, and they'll maul the Rogue Knight to bits. Down he goes. So they get the kill there, but the trade is S4. Debuting the Orchid, finding a kill of his own bottom lane. It's a support for a core, and it is an Orchid debut. So overall, I think Liquid's still pretty happy with that. But
Still
S4 is having his way with them. They have not been able to slow down the Queen of Pain at all, and his positioning demonstrates he isn't afraid of anything Liquid can do.
when you're farming at that spot on the map, you're getting a lot.
The Bear Banish, moving on to Mind Control. They have the Radiance now. They're going to silence Mind Control. He insta-pops the Ravage. He looks for the turn-on. Thana's got his ultimate, drops the hammer, lays out Aki, but the Savage Roar is going to force Fada back while they try to chase out the Tidehunter. Gets off the Anchor Smash into the trees. Bulldog will go, turning on the Bear. They're going to finish that off. And then the other Bear, Mr. Fuzzy Wuzzy, arrives. Matumba Man had the ult ready to go again. He's going to kill him off. Bulldog hiding in the trees here. I don't believe he has a TP, or
he's
if he
waiting
does,
for mana, I believe.
has no mana for it. But they don't know. So lucky that things were so hectic there, he too may have gone down. Still some wasted farming time.
Very bold. Alliance, I think, recognizing that Liquid was split up. They had a couple heroes mid. They had, I think, 3 heroes in the top lane. Wanted to just go in and get aggressive with the TP in, but Pop didn't have the ultimate as well as no global silence. Made it, if Liquid rotate their heroes fast enough, which they did, you're not going to win that fight without those ultis.
So Diffusal Blade comes out now from the Ursa. We've seen CTY do this on his Ursa before. Sometimes he'll just go straight for an Aghanim Scepter. Is the Orchid and the Global the reason for this? Why Diffusal first?
Orchid Global, potential Ghost Scepters. I don't think there's any Ghost Scepters up, but it's just like a logical item typically to buy as a support for a Silencer, for an Enchantress, even for the Lone Druid on his hero itself. On top of that, it's stat-wise a fantastic item. Gives you ridiculous anti at a cheap price. Gives you a bit of mana from the road, so just giving you a bit more attack speed helps kill the Enchantress a bit easier. It's just like the most cost-effective item you can get for an Ursa at this stage of the game.
Liquid going to finish off the Roshan here, and we'll go to the Matumba Man again. This is a big one for them. Alliance, maybe not that strong 5v5 yet, but Bulldog continues to farm S4, going towards the BKB, and once he gets that, they won't have control for him. No Basher out on the Ursa. Hex a long way off if there is going to be one on the OD. You can see some aggression here. Pressure. Enchantress, though, getting caught out, and will end up dropping. Matumba Man getting to work, making things happen. Already used 2 Diffusal Blade charges in that little skirmish. Choose through these days. I still remember that fight where CTY managed to pop, I think it was 5 charges in 1 engagement. And he like triple diffused 1 hero in a row. So Matumba Man not breaking records yet, but it's early in Shanghai Major.
Yeah, you see a global silence come out, you pop it on yourself, your teammates, and suddenly...
Just purge your entire team instantly. That's the silencer counter.
Need some fast fingers for that, but what Matumba Man can do. Team Liquid, again, they're the ones who are kind of posing as the aggressors, but there's still a lot of plays Alliance can make. They can counter push the other lanes, your typical kind of Alliance split push. They've got pretty good potent team fight of their own.
Looks like they're hunting the Bear in this bottom lane. Bulldog trying for a bit of the split push. That Spirit Bear, though, could be in trouble. Meanwhile, S4 shoving out the top lane.
The catch for Liquid is very lacking, and that's where this Queen of Pain last pick, at this stage I'm like, wow, Queen of Pain was actually a fantastic last pick. I was kind of on Syndren's side, like the Bruce seemed like a good substitute for Puck.
Oh, S4, they sprung the trap. Kuroki came from behind, goes for the snowball, gets the uppercut into the trees. S4 will blink, has the teleport scroll. Mind Control has a Ravage ready. Is S4 going to go for a TP out? No, he blinks once more.
He doesn't insta-TP because he knows that Mind Control would happily ravage that kill. But again, they TP'd in 4 heroes. Well, they TP in 3, they rotate 1. You can't kill this Queen of Pain. There is no reliable catch at all. OD gets in like a blink hex.
They need a blink hex or a Basher slash Abyssal Blade on Matumba. And until it's an Abyssal, you're just rolling. There's the Ravage. The Ravage actually going onto Bulldog, one of the tankiest heroes. They throw up the shards. Bulldog gets pushed on the other side. And then right as the Global Silence comes in, Matumba Man jumps in. It's going to purge that one off. Chases forward. They snowball again. This one's going to connect. There's the uppercut. Then the egg drops in the middle of Alliance. They're being forced back. Run over. Matumba Man angry. What's this, honey? They get 2. Looking out for S4. Burning him down. 3 have fallen. Alliance crushed in the fight, and it was after what looked like a decent engage, but that Diffusal Blade by Matumba Man really paying off there, allowing the Tusk to immediately roll in, setting himself up for round 2. The item has certainly paid for itself.
Alliance is getting caught in a team fight where they don't have a high ground advantage. They're kind of forced to engage just because of Bulldog getting put out there. They kind of, alternatively, you can just leave him, let him go down, but that's just not the Alliance way. Bulldog kind of playing that one position main carry role, and Suddenly, everyone gets baited into this fight that they don't want to take against Ravage, against Phoenix, Supernova, and again, Liquid superior team fight showing itself. They're on the high ground. Quap as well as Lone Druid have no buyback. And even when they respawn, you're only looking at one Spirit Bear, so very risky position for Alliance all of a sudden.
There's been a lot of talk at this major, I think especially from the English panel, the analysts, about tempo and speed of the game. And once can you hit your timings? And it feels like Liquid, that first Aegis, maybe they weren't on track to hit their timings, but this second one, they've just exploded. All of a sudden, they take the tier 2, they still hang on to the Aegis, now they're threatening the next round of towers, they get the blink on Tidehunter. They have most of the tools here to just keep the pressure up. So I guess on the flip side, guys, if you're Alliance, what do they need to do to get things back under control?
It's going to be avoid those team fights. I think more than Liquid, I mean, it was an amazing timing for them, but more than anything, it was Alliance giving them a fight that they shouldn't have. Like the Queen of Pain split pushing top lane. When you look at that, like 4 heroes keeping for a Quap they don't kill, that's like Alliance toying and just kind of puppeteering Liquid around the map. Like that's where Liquid looked lost. Like for a second, I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good for Liquid, and then 30 seconds later, suddenly Liquid wins the fight convincingly and is almost getting a tier 3 tower. And it's just a complete 180. So Alliance have to go back to that split push play, trying to avoid. It's hard to just say avoid giving up pickoffs because Liquid have a lineup that can kill anyone that doesn't have escape spell. In this case, the Queen of Pain blink, the Savage Girl from the Lone Druid. But you've got to be wary. You've got to deward the map, try and get some map, less map control, but more map vision on the side of Alliance, and then split push using the Queen of Pain.
This Bear's claws are dripping with the blood of Alliance, and perhaps their hopes and dreams. At least in game 1, things looking a little bit bleak. They still hold the Aegis. They now have that blink on Tidehunter that might pick up after the last fight. And they are sieging. While they may not have the best natural sieging heroes, Ursa with an Aegis still can do some decent tower damage. And now he's got his BKB. So an OD BKB comes out, an Aether Lens here for the Phoenix. And along with that, the Ursa BKB. Looking at Alliance.
Pretty quiet game from Aki. He had a lot of early game presence helping the mid lane succeed, but hasn't had a huge amount of room to go for ganks and rotations because the lines are kind of prioritizing their
first like 5 to 8 minutes, he won mid, he got the tier 1 bottom, but since then, haven't seen a whole lot out of the channel.
And Alliance, more so than most teams, run like 2 true supports. Like you talk about teams having a 4 and a 5 position support, the 4 getting more farm than the 5. It really feels like Alliance, more than most teams, have 2 5s. They don't spread the farm that much to EGM as well as Ake because of the nature of their
unless he
cores.
decides to play greedy. Once in a while, you'll see the Midas come out. It happened once in the group stage, but he's not quite. It's not the way they used to be, where every game he's a super greedy for, like back in the
part of it
good
is,
old TI3 days.
Yeah, part of it is they do end their games fairly quickly, so they're looking just to get 3 very in a better position if you're a champion who's had some fun. She's a hero that can actually do a decent amount of DPS sitting from the back, dealing DPS through the BKBs from a safe range, and a hero that's likely to be often ignored in this fight, so something that Alliance may look to kind of rectify if they can try and find some farm to send away a few characters at any point.
That flat side really looks like the Reaper from Overwatch, actually. The interesting little art differences here in the Chinese version of the game. Sylphana clearing out some jungle camps now.
Seeing Blizzard stole Valve into like a
I'm just saying, it's an interesting coincidence. Stop stirring the pot.
To the Reddit.
That's classic Aussie nonsense. So, what are the next? Is there another round of items that you're really keeping your eyes on? Is there like a game-breaking item that either team can purchase? Is this just about the Roshan? We're kind of at a stalemate here, it feels like. So, where are your eyes turning to next as the game develops?
OD's Blink BKB, I think is, well, I guess it's the question if you go to BKB or the Hex. Having Hex, having Pickoff. Liquid can actually punish any split push, find Pickoff so much easier with a Hex on their side, so when they get to that point where they have a Blink Hex either on Ursa or OD, it just gives them so much more catch potential. There's so many more maneuvers and plays they can make to try and get an advantage, to create opportunities to go for a high ground push.
Alliance hanging back now. You can see one hero up in the north lane. That's 4. Probably been the most aggressive overall in the split push. And with the BKB, as long as he's quick, aside from the Hex, they're really not going to be able to kill him off.
Man, good guys, Shanghai Major trying to help us learn Chinese as well, not just learn Dota here. So looking at the mini-map, we're going to know all the different names for heroes by the time we're done.
I am not learning anything. You speak for yourself, my friend. I'm just confused. I just see green and red. It's Christmas. Again. Alliance creeping forward here. They've got a global ready to go. They're going to get eyes on the Tumble Man off the bench. Phoenix there to heal him up. Fada, great blink in. He's going to banish him, keep him alive. The global already committed, but Fada is low. Then Mind Control comes in, drops the Ravage. Ursa gets forward, forcing low to back the snowball onto Bulldog, trying to kill off that bear. They will prevail. They get 3, make it 4. Fada bailing out the team there with the Astral and completely turning the fight.
Oh my god. He made up for that earlier misplay where he got caught out of top ring. First saves his teammate with an Astral, then saves himself, gets the blink escape. Oh, Alliance thought they had the jump there. They were on the high ground, they had the kind of vision advantage, and they go in with the global, but OD just BKB Astral helps everybody out.
The global does not feel like a threat this game. They've got the Diffusal Blade, they have mass BKBs, they also have they have a dead EGM, that's also what they have. Tier 4 tower. He will fall as well. As for buying back the Sven, also buying back. They're committing a lot of bodies to try and hold this lane of Rags. But KuroKy rolling in deep onto S4. He'll go. They're going to uppercut him. A Sven stun on 2. Maybe they can turn this, but the Tumba Man right out in front. Hey, wide load here. Gets the job done. Finishing off S4. That's a dieback on the Queen of Pain. And Liquid pulling away with game 1. They were considered underdogs coming into this series, but after their dominance here, they go on to win this one. Not sure they'll be underdogs much longer. Mind Control will get Sven. Loda trying to turn this. He's looking for the multiple cleaves, but he gets controlled. Held in position now. Trying to back away. If Sven's going to walk, he's likely to die. But Tumble Man jumping in. Blink first. Bash next. Dead Loda. The result. That's a dieback now on the Sven as well. And Ake hangs back, but can't easily escape. The Sun Ray melts him down and spits him out.
The bear
Roasted deer. It's venison for dinner. Everything.
Game.
Falling apart here for Alliance. They have thrown body after body at this Liquid offense, and nothing has worked. Another bash, another kill. EGM2 into the meat grinder. 4 dead. They just don't have anything left.
It's really 5 dead. He has no bear, so you may as well be dead in Bulldog's case. Your Radiance, your Vlads, I believe, all gone. And what incredible execution from Liquid. Just punishing the Alliance like some high ground mispositioning. They got jump after jump before Alliance already. They were willing to commit the buybacks for the spins, but EGM had already been picked on the high ground. Then the Queen of Pain gets picked before the Lone Druid even respawns. It was just a very uncoordinated high ground defense coming out from Alliance where they just got picked one by one and kind of uncharacteristic of the team. But
one last hurrah here. They're waiting for the silence to respawn. 5 seconds. Then they might try to go with the global and a combo, but it's already too late. Everybody from Liquid backing out. Perhaps they could catch KuroKy, but catching the whole gang, very unlikely. Plus, Ravage is up. S4, though, he blinks forward. He's smoked. He gets some vision on them now. It is daytime, so he knows Liquid are backing off, but they're a tight ball of 5. Very tough to go in, and he will crack their smoke. Blinking forward, Mind Control going to work. The Ravage on 2. Bulldog down. Ake next. Liquid feasting on Alliance, and now back to the Roche. That felt like the absolute last breath of Alliance in this game. They have lost so much money over the past couple of minutes.
Well, it's Alliance again. They have the vision of these heroes, but kind of like you mentioned earlier, the global silence just doesn't feel like a global silence. There's so many ways to get out of it, and Liquid are just maneuvering and playing so well in these 5v5 engagements. Even when Alliance see everything. The previous fight was Alliance with the high ground swoop down on Liquid. That one there, S4 smoked up during daytime, sees everything. They still, I mean, that was more like a desperation play. You can't really blame Alliance much for that. They just have to go for something. Hope Liquid kind of split up. They also expect Liquid to fall back and go for that Roshan, so they're trying to punish it, but...
Even Phoenix has a BKB. This global silence is officially useless. Ouch.
And he was the one here that was often getting targeted by the Orchid from Queen of Pain.
That as well. So now they can purge it off, they can BKB it off on pretty much every hero. And just to go a little bit further, KuroKy grabbing the Lotus Orb. Tumba Man has his Diffusal 2 flying out on the Courier. Liquid every single weapon, and then a truck full of extras just in case something breaks.
Throwing the Shiver's Guard for Tide, why not?
It's feeling like Liquid just found that snowball moment where they won a couple of fights in a row. Alliance just couldn't play the clean enough, polished game where they dodged gank after gank, and like what S4 was doing top. Had they done that a bunch, maybe things are different. But now S4 caught out by the Hex debut of Fauna, quickly will fall. Another death for the Creed of Pain, who no longer can split push safely, and now finds herself 5k, nearly a full tier 4 item down her counterpart in the mid lane.
I believe that's all folks at that point. That pick off there, no Queen of Pain for the high ground defense. Should be near impossible for Alliance to kind of take this one. But we'll see. I've seen crazy stuff from Alliance. Go back to qualifiers where they've come back. Was it the Mega Creep defense coming out from Loda? Like, we've seen all kinds of insane stuff from them.
Well, doing a 4v5, that is a taller task, and especially when Fada's the man to get the jump. Hex quickly onto Loda. Onio gets dropped, just eviscerates this Fed. Dead for 60. Quap still a half minute off the respawn, and Alliance, they've had enough. They're bloody, battered, bruised, and going to game 2, down 0-1. This one was ugly, and towards the end, it wasn't even close.
Absolutely fantastic moment from Liquid. A team very momentum dependent. Come out and just pummel their way through.
聪明，他们那个阵容就是需要黑鸟，但是是最后一手拿到的。
对，
他们是一开始抢到了潮汐这个英雄一个大团控，海明潮汐，而 Alliance 这边是很早的拿到了4号位的小鹿之后，又是拿了一个1号位和一个3号位，熊德和死问。他那个死问可能就是拿出来觉得打拍拍熊比较好。
The Queen of Pain was just like, they had 3 cores that needed to like stay and farm, and no one was going to be able to make space, like be initiating, and they didn't really have enough, disable. Because I know LD and Parker were talking about the fact that Global Silence didn't feel like it was a Global Silence because there was no stuns. Like, the only stun they had was Lotus Stormhammer. That was not the ideal thing you want to have when you have a Silencer, and you're up against a team fight composition from Liquid, which makes it so difficult for them to win a team fight.
Would you agree with that, Draskell?
Yeah, I think he pretty much hit the nail on the head. There's very lacking control. So the thing about Silencer, when you don't pick him in a core capacity, is that you need to win the fight in global. Otherwise, the hero doesn't have a purpose. I mean, in laning phase, he's pretty mediocre. Other heroes can zone about as well as he can. But if you global, and then you don't win an engagement, then the enemy team has a lot of time to punish because it's a fairly lengthy cooldown. And I also feel like they wanted to pick Queen because the tempo of their team needed to be fast to prevent Liquid from getting early Roches, but they got them anyway. Like, they got every single Roshan, I want to say. They got 2 in a row around, like, what, the 20-minute mark is when they got the other one. And at that point, it's already like, well, we have superior team fight, the Queen split pushing, and I still argue that S4 played a very good game. It's just that he's playing Queen, so he's fairly limited on what he can contribute in the actual team fight, and that was really, I think, what ended up breaking them down.
Sin, Ben, welcome back, by the way. Do you guys agree with what they said, and do you feel like maybe Alliance could have done something different with already the draft they were given in the early game to kind of change the outcome?
I don't know. I think the early game kind of went fairly even, which I think Alliance should be okay with. We talked about it going into the game. They're okay with not winning the early game because their mid game is so good, but in this particular game, I don't think their draft was actually even stronger in the mid game unless Lone Druid gets a really good game, but he got shut down very hard.
I don't think they can be okay with the early game going the way it is. I think they had to gain more because they had Enchantress, and typically against a team fight composition like what Liquid has, and Liquid has weaker lanes, you want to be able to use that to your advantage. If you go past the early game 50-50, it means that your team fight is not going to match the enemy's team fight later on. So if you don't get an advantage in the first 10 minutes with your Enchantress, you are going to struggle, and which we saw in the game. They can't take team fights.
If there was anything they needed to do more. But the thing is, like, they really won mid. Like, I was looking at the CS, and that wasn't even remotely close. Aki came in and helped with a tornado. I can't remember if he sent another creep, but as far as, like, 25 for 7 against an OD with 10 and 2. Like, that's about as much as you can expect to win that mid lane. Lone Druid got countered pretty hard top. I don't really know if they can kill bottom that easily. Silencer, Sven plus Ench is not extremely strong. Tide is very defensive and tanky hero. they're a little bit limited. I do agree that they could have done more with their inch, but all in all, when you look at how the outcome was, it was probably fairly expected. And then in the mid game, it's actually a pretty even game. And Alliance make one mistake and they lose like 5 heroes, and then they lose another 3, and a Rax, and a Roche. And
But
then
just like look at the way they itemize as well. Like Loda, this is one of the first times we've seen Sven. Actually, I think it was literally the first game where he's actually max stun. So they understood that because of the hero that they picked, and Winter said it as well, just another person who eats space, the Sven even had to sacrifice going for a greedier build to make sure that they had a way of going all in. Because if they don't have Blink stun, then the global is even harder to use than it was previously without the addition of the Puck. So I really think the biggest mistake was not picking Puck first. I think if they had that hero, you can have that high tempo that Queen gives you. A Puck can do the exact same thing as Queen did that game, just being in side lanes, being a nuisance. But when you come to the team fight, it's much more impactful, and you have other ways of playing the game out.
it doesn't even need to be that scared of getting ganked by a Tusk either.
Right.
Liquid's strength around that mid lane revolves around having the Phoenix and the Tusk being able to come in from long distances, but Puck actually doesn't care. Qual was the same logic. I'm thinking that's why they decided it, because I think they wanted Puck, and Puck got banned.